With the 50-over World Cup less than 6 months away, the spotlight is back on one-day cricket. Pakistan and New Zealand kicked off their preparations in Rawalpindi with the first of the 5 matches of this series. Change of format brought a change of fortune for Wei Young and Daryl Mitchell after a disappointing showing in the T20s. Mitchell finally found his touch, scoring a magnificent 100. Second one-day international 100 for Daryl Mitchell. Naseem Shah led the Pakistan fight back, restricting the visitors to less than 300.
Pulled him! Naseem Shah has to!
Two left-handers, Fakhar Zaman and Imamul Haq, did everything right as Pakistan made a brilliant start. Fakhar Zaman, hero of Pakistan's title triumph at 2017 Champions Trophy, their last major silverware, showed his vintage class racing to 100.
Fakhar Zaman has back-to-back ODI centuries and he's done it in quite some fashion.
There were minor jitters, but Pakistan were home to go 1-0 up.
Hello and welcome. We are live from Pindi Cricket Stadium. It is the second one-day international of Dafa News KFC series between Pakistan and New Zealand. Great to be here on the Inverex Solar Energy Pitch Side Show. Now, this umbrella tells you pretty much about how the conditions here are today. It's scorching hot, but New Zealand have a chance to redeem themselves in this second one-day international between Pakistan and New Zealand. I've been joined by Grant Elliott and Sana Mir. Grant, nice to be here under this umbrella, but I think what we need is a bit of heat from the New Zealand team as well. On the field, they'll be looking to obviously get back in form and level the series.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, firstly, with the umbrella, and there will be some roasted Kiwis out there today. They have to be careful of this weather. I think the toss will be crucial. But if we reflect on the last game, I do think that New Zealand were maybe 20 runs short in setting a total. And they'll look at that, and I think it's more in that period. Pakistan bowled very well at the death. So I think it's more in that period of overs 20 to 40 where there's only 4 players out that they can look to dominate. They'll reflect on that first game, and I think that we can see maybe a little bit more aggression with the bat.
What about from a Pakistan perspective? You know, the big news coming from the camp is that Ihsanullah is making his one-day international debut. We saw him in the T20s, but he will be seen in action in this particular format, and it's a huge moment for him, Sana.
Absolutely, especially that the team is preparing for the one-day World Cup. For Ihsan to get a chance, it does give the message of how the selectors might be thinking. They want to see him under pressure, how he fares well in the one-day format. And it's a huge, huge opportunity for him, especially when Pakistan is 1 up.
All right, it is indeed a huge moment, Grant. I mean, I'm sure you remember when you got your cap, what it felt like. It's an emotional moment. You've always waited for that time to actually come out and play for your team and for your national side. And when it finally happens, lots of emotions running through.
You know, I think the emotions, you can't really explain how important it is when you get that cap. I mean, you know, you grow up and you dream of playing for your country. It's an absolute dream. When I was 12 years old, all I wanted to do was, you know, play international cricket. And then getting that cap finally, it's, you know, the passion that you have for your country, for your teammates, your family. It's a very proud moment, but you only get one debut. That's the thing. You get one chance to do it, and it's a special moment, and hopefully he gets his cap, and it is a special day for him.
All right. From a Pakistan perspective, should there be more changes? Should they stick to the winning combination? How are we looking at today's team?
I do think the team did really well. You're a winning team. You don't want to change too much right at the start of the series. I do think one change should be enough, but it all depends on how they look into this 5-match series, because in the T20s they did the same. They didn't change it in the beginning, but then they have to change a lot at the end.
They are looking at all the changes. They're trying different combinations as well. And there's been a change in the management of the Pakistan cricket team as well. We've seen team director Mickey Arthur come in the side. He was previously the coach of the Pakistan cricket team, but now he's coming in a different capacity. Earlier, I caught up with him. Let's find out what he has to say.
Star Talk, brought to you by Inverix Solar Energy.
I have with me Mickey Arthur, one of the most successful coaches of Pakistan cricket. But here today, he is back in a different capacity altogether as the director of Pakistan cricket. Mickey, great to have you here. Wonderful to have you back. You're coming back in a different capacity though this time. You are the team director. So how does it feel to be back in Pakistan?
First of all, Z, it's a privilege to be back. It really is to be. Pakistan cricket never leaves you. There's an emotional attachment to it. It's been fantastic. We've had a pretty full-on couple of days trying to get the boys the direction of the team game, individual meetings, etc., etc. But it's just such a pleasure to be back. I'm really passionate about this job. I'm passionate about this country, and we've got a World Cup to win.
So if I were to ask you, what kind of vision does a team director have? So in terms of just the Pakistan team, if I were to ask you, where do you want to see them in the next couple of years? What would you say?
We actually discussed it the other night as a team, and I mean, obviously won't go into all the discussion around that. But I just looked around the room and I just saw the talent that was in the room, and we 6, 5, and 3 in the world across different formats, and that's not good enough. This team deserves to be the best. This team deserves to be #1 in the world. I've got a real plan to get them there. I've got a vision to get them there.
What did you miss coaching about Pakistan in particular?
I tell you what you miss. You miss the colour, you miss the passion, you miss the noise, but you miss the talent. So those are the 4 things. I mean, when I walked into that room again last night and saw the boys, it was just electric again.
2019 is the time that you left after the 50-over World Cup. You must have followed the Pakistan cricket team in this time closely. You know, we've seen your tweets on social media and just generally you talking about the Pakistan players. What do you reckon are the strengths of this Pakistan side?
There's world-class players. There really is world-class players. The key for us is making them turn those class into match-winning performances. The strength of the batting of the side, we've got a world-class batsman. We've got some very, very good batsmen. But I just marvel at our bowling attack. The ability to bowl sides out, defend totals in all forms is mouth-watering. So I just think it's an amazing attack. I go so far as to say it's almost the best in the world.
What about the weaknesses of the side?
Yeah, without giving too much away, there are certain areas that we need to prove on. I think Grant and I have had in-depth conversations with Baba, Haroon, part of the selection panel, as to a strategy and a brand we think that's going to be successful for us in the World Cup. So we've looked at potential guys that can fill that role. I do think overs 10 to 40 in the World Cup are going to be crucial. We need to find batsmen who can bat that long period of time, particularly batsmen who could play spin. I think spin's going to play a massive role at that phase in the World Cup.
Yeah, you spoke about the young talent that Pakistan cricket has. I mean, who are the players that have really impressed you so far, that you've observed, you feel have great potential?
Oh, look, I think, I mean, I've just been, I've been drawn into Mohammed Harris. He's just a vibrant character. He's been great fun over the last couple of days. I watched him bat. He's got an unbelievable talent. Saim Ayub, incredible talent. He's got it all. I believe he can be that player for us that can dominate those overs 10 to 40 at times. I think he's that good. I've been really impressed. Ishanullah, I thought he was outstanding during the World. I mean, he bowls rockets. He's so quick.
Okay, lastly, I'm not going to keep you here for long. It's a very busy cricketing year for Pakistan cricket. There's lots of test cricket, there's T20 internationals, a lot that's going on. I mean, anything in particular that you would want Pakistan to achieve? They're traveling to Australia at the end of the year, there's Asia Cup, so much happening.
Yeah, there's so much happening, which is great, and that's why I've got a really good support staff with me. There's two obvious answers to that, and that's to win a World Cup, and the second one would be to go to Australia and win a Test series. I mean, I was lucky to experience that with South Africa. There is nothing better than winning a Test series in Australia. So those are two very achievable goals, I think.
Thank you so much, Mickey, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to speak to you and catch up on Pakistan cricket. This time, though, in a different capacity. He comes back as team director. We wish him all the best for all his endeavours for Pakistan cricket, and of course hope that this is a successful run for him.
Star Talk, brought to you by Inverix Solar Energy.
Well, it's always great to hear the thoughts of Mickey Arthur. Like I said, this time in a different capacity as team director. The full interview is available on all the PCB channels. It's on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much all the other social media channels that are available. It will be uploaded shortly, but a different challenge for him, Sana. When you look at Mickey, he comes in as team director. He's got a job on his hands because he needs to improve all the rankings of different formats where Pakistan is at this point of time. How do you look at his inclusion in the management?
Of course, the inclusion is great. He has worked with the same group of players. Mostly the core is still the same for the Champions Trophy that we won under him. So the core is the same. But the communication and the execution will be very, very important because he won't be here to take the decisions on the ground. But of course, the whole vision will be his. And the communication between the head coach, himself, the captain, that would be very, very crucial.
Mickey, you know a bit of Mickey, Grant. I mean, you've been somebody who's been in his company, played alongside him as well. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I actually played with Mickey Arthur first-class cricket in South Africa, and the very next year he was the coach of the team, so got to know him really well at the start of my career. And you know, Mickey, just like he spoke about in that interview, he's passionate about cricket, he's passionate about teams excelling, and he's done very well as a coach. He's taken teams from positions where currently Pakistan are to being the best in the world. So, you know, he's been there, done that. I like his aspirations. I think the only question mark I'd say is if there is that much talent in the room, then why are they not producing at the moment? And that's why he's there, is to find that out. And the one thing I would say is maybe selection, maybe consistency in selection.
Selection is something which is always an interesting topic in Pakistan. Sana, what about the conditions then? I mean, we saw that New Zealand was short of runs the other day. What are we expecting today?
I think Grant pointed out really well, the toss is going to be extremely important because we saw there was a big difference in the behavior of the pitch when it was playing under the sun and when it was playing under the light. So, of course, it's going to be different. When the sun is out, you see the pitch was a bit slower, but once the lights were on, it was coming on better, and then dew can play a role. Last match, there was hardly any dew, but that's why it's very difficult to post a total when you're batting first here.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult in terms of, you know, it's not been the easiest ground to defend on, Grant. You look at this ground and what we've seen in the T20s as well, not much in it for the bowlers.
No, I think that there's not a lot of turn. So that is one factor. If it's turning, we did see a little bit of turn from Ish Sodhi. Ish Sodhi had bounce turn. When Baba came in, there was a little bit there for him. So that's exciting from a spin point of view, and that can really halt the runs, the amount of runs that they do score. But everything points towards having a bowl first and batting second, like Sana said. I think that's the way to go.
I think New Zealand would have recalculated their targets after that last game that Pakistan saw. Also a change for Pakistan. Ehsanullah is playing today, instead of whom we'll find out shortly, because we are ready with the toss, and Arooj Mumtaz is out there with the two captains.
Toss and pitch report brought to you by Inverix Solar Energy.
Game number 2 here in Pindi, the second of 5 one-dayers, and how the surface plays we'll find out later. But most importantly, to my left, the ICC match referee Chris Board, captain of Pakistan Babar Azam, and Tom Latham for New Zealand. All set and ready for the toss. Babar has the coin.
Heads.
Heads is the call.
Tail again.
Repeat of match number 1. You won the toss. What are you going to do?
Same. We have a ball first.
Any particular reason? Yes, we talk about Pindi and batting second and sort of chasing is the way to go, but do you find anything different in the surface?
To be honest, not any difference. Pitch look like same, and we will try to utilize for 10 hours, and yeah, we try to take early wicket and put pressure on them.
Any changes in your side from the first one?
Yes, we have 3 changes.
Okay, do you remember
Unfortunately, Shahan is not playing. He have a little bit injury. Abdullah Shafiq is playing. Sama playing. Shadab is resting. Shaheen is not playing. Sanullah is debut because of work match overloaded. So we decide to rest him and rotation policy. So that's why we are trying to try 2 different combinations.
I mean, it makes sense also because in the lead into the World Cup, there's this and then probably a few more assignments after as you head into the World Cup. As a captain, how important is it for you to try different things during this series so that you can implement them if required in the World Cup?
We will try to different combination. Yes, we have 2 big events coming up, so we will try 2 different combination, different players, different combination for fast bowling, different combination in the batting. We had tried 2 different batsmen in the middle order. So yeah, we have a very important series, so we will try to utilize as soon as possible.
Right, Babar, thank you and good luck for the game.
Thank you, thanks.
So Tom, 2 out of 2 not going your way. Would you have done anything different?
We probably would have bowled first as well, but obviously got some information from the last game. The wicket looks, reasonably similar. So I guess, we weren't far away in that batting innings. Just hopefully we can make those little adjustments first up.
Well, you say you weren't far enough. 288. How many short do you think you actually were?
I don't think we were too far away, to be fair. I think, to put 290 on the board, a couple of boundaries here and there, and all of a sudden you're up over that 300 mark. And I guess for us, it's just trying to apply our blueprint as best as we can. And as I said, we've got some information on how these surfaces play and how they're going to go about things. So hopefully we can make those adjustments first up.
Well, Tom Young, Will Young came to the party and Daryl Mitchell with a good ton as well. How much confidence does that give you in terms of your batting, firing for that big score?
Yeah, obviously those guys played fantastically well. I think the way they set the innings up at the top of the order, it wasn't easy first up, and then I guess the way they were able to absorb a little bit of pressure, and then the partnerships are key things in our batting unit, and we managed to build a few of them throughout the innings. But I guess hopefully today we can go a little bit better.
Changes to your side?
Yeah, we've got 2 changes. So Adam Milne and Blair Tickner miss out, and Henry Shipley and Jimmy Neesham come in.
Well done. Anyways, good luck and thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
Right, the news from the centre is that Pakistan have won the toss and they will have a bowl. And there's plenty of talk around the surface. Butch alongside. You've been expecting this surface. What do you make of it?
Well, 2 days ago we had a surface that looked cracked, looked a little dry, looked nothing like the Runfest pitches that we saw in the PSL only a month or so ago. And this pitch, if anything, Aruj, looks even drier and even more cracked. If we can get in a little bit tighter here on some of these cracks, very mosaiced, some of them move a little bit. We're getting to that sort of stage of the season now, the back end of the season, where everything is getting old and tired. Not you and I, obviously, but the pitches, the surfaces are starting just to show that little bit of wear. And because of that, Pakistan were fantastic, I thought, in the back end of the innings, where they had the last 10 overs or so with Haris Rauf, Naseem and Shaheen Sharafridi bowling a lot of cutters, slower ball cutters into a length, not looking for Yorkers. And when they were doing that, the New Zealand batsmen were just unable to accelerate, couldn't get hold of the ball at all. They only scored at 6.5 runs and over in that last 10, and that's what cost them a 300-plus score. And I think that's going to be critical here once again today because of that dryness and because of the lack of pace onto the ball. You really got to make the most of your power play. That's going to be the key. You've got to come out, you've got to go a bit harder with the power play, because by the time you get down to the last 10, you are not going to smash great bowlers at the death on a pitch where there is no pace coming onto the bat.
Right, put you on the spot. Latham said they were not far behind from what they thought was a good score. They got 288. What do you reckon is the magic number?
Well, I think it's going to be more difficult today than it was a couple of days ago. So I think sort of around 290 is going to be a similar. I think they were 20 short 2 days ago. Today, I think the score that they made 2 days ago might actually be good enough. But again, I stress to the point that power play, and also up to around about the 30th, 35th over, you've really got to be on your mettle to score as many as you possibly can.
Right, you've heard from Butch, and what looks like it's going to be an interesting surface, we'll only find out.
Toss and pitch report brought to you by Inverex Solar Energy.
Well, that is the big news from the centre, that Pakistan has won the toss once again and they have elected to bowl. Thank you so much, Grant. I think it's time for you to head into the commentary box. Sana, you stay with us because we will be taking a short breather. And when we do come back, we'll be having a look at the teams and whatever changes have been made. Back on the Inverex Solar Energy pitch side show, and the news from the centre is that Pakistan has won the toss and they have elected to field first. A couple of changes for both the sides that we are seeing. I've now been joined by Mark Butcher in the studio. Butch, great to have you back. Let's talk about the New Zealand team first. They've made 2 changes. Shipley comes back, and also Jimmy Neesham is back in the side as well. So they'd be looking, you look at the kind of performance that you saw in the first one-day international, short of runs. How do you think the balance of this lineup is that they're playing today?
Well, I mean, it hasn't changed a great deal, except for the fact that Jimmy Neesham offers them a little bit more explosive power in that middle order. You know, if there was one area of the game where New Zealand sort of faltered, I think, in their first innings, it certainly wasn't the top order. It was what happened when they lost a couple of wickets and Tom Latham chewed up all those deliveries. So with Neesham in the shake-up, it gives them the opportunity to, if they want, to juggle the batting order around a little bit, stick him up the order and try and keep that impetus going as it gets more difficult, as the ball gets a little bit older. But I mean, it's essentially the same side, the same sort of makeup of the team, but I think Neesham's batting power just gives them that little bit extra.
Right, Neesham's batting power gives them a little bit extra, but Pakistan has also made a couple of changes. All the Shahs are out. Shan Masood is out, Shadab Khan is out, Shaheen Shah Afridi is out, and Ihsanullah, we spoke about him, he's making his debut today, but Osama Mir also gets an opportunity, Sana.
Absolutely, you don't want your name to be start with an SNH because they're all out of the team. But I do like the changes. Abdullah Shafiq in for Shan. He has been performing well, so it's good to see him in the top order there. Osama Mir, the leg spinner, another like-to-like replacement, but I do think in this Pakistan team there's a little longer tail, slightly longer tail as compared to the other team, because you have lost Shadab and Shaheen who both can bat, but still a very good strong team for Pakistan.
But you've seen a lot of Ihsanullah in the HPL PSL. What do you make of him?
He's incredibly exciting. He's exciting for world cricket, not just Pakistan cricket. He bowls absolute rockets. He's got the Cupid's bow celebration when he takes a wicket. And it is so naive at the moment in terms of his development as a cricket player that every day is like Christmas Day for him at the moment. And I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing him bowl on this surface, because despite the fact that there is going to be a lot of pace and bounce in it, that sometimes when you're a high speed can make life very, very difficult for batters. We've also seen he has the ability to reverse swing the ball even in T20 games. So, you know, if this pitch starts to bite into that Kookaburra ball a little bit, we'll see that little bit of movement. So very excited to see him in the side. And Osama Mir, his teammate at Multan Sultans. The two of them were dynamite together in the middle period of innings in the T20s, and they might be able to do a similar job here in this as well.
It's good to see Osama Mir being given an opportunity, Sana, because he is somebody who did really well in the HPL PSL. Sort of got overshadowed by a lot of the other bowlers, but just in terms of his individual performance, he was right up there.
Absolutely, has been bowling with a lot of control, and the moment you have seen him given the responsibility, he really likes that responsibility, and I do think this consistency as a leg spinner when he's so young has been very, very impressive for me.
It has been rather impressive. Osama Mir has evolved in the last few years, but one thing that has also evolved in Pakistan is the crowds. The crowds have been turning up in huge numbers despite all the heat and all the other conditions, Ramadan, whatsoever. We've seen some fantastic crowds so far. Let's find out from Mehek what they have to say.
The second one-day international is about to begin here at Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium, where I'm sure everyone's expecting more high scores, more runs, and just overall some really thrilling cricket, just like they experienced in that first one-day international. Now let's go speak to the fans and ask them their thoughts. आपको लगता है कि न्यूजीलैंड की टीम आज ज़्यादा मोटिवेटेड होगी जीत हासिल करने के लिए?
जी लाजमी सी बात है, न्यूजीलैंड की एक अच्छी टीम है और टफ टाइम दे सकती है पाकिस्तान टीम को। पाकिस्तान पहला मैच अच्छे तरीके से जीता है इंशाल्लाह। पाकिस्तान की टीम भी काफ़ी अच्छी है, मगर न्यूजीलैंड जो है पहला मैच हारा है, तो उन्होंने फाइट करनी होगी। 5 की सीरीज़ है ODI की, तो चाहेंगे कि हम पाकिस्तान को हराएं और इंशाल्लाह टफ टाइम देगी, क्योंकि उनकी टीम भी अच्छी है। मगर इंशाल्लाह हमें अपनी टीम से बहुत ज़्यादा तवक्को है। मैच में फाइटिंग मैच में देखने को मिलेगा, मगर इंशाल्लाह जीत हमारी पाकिस्तान की होगी।
जो इस साल वर्ल्ड कप होने जा रहा है, आपको लगता है कि ये टीम पाकिस्तान की स्ट्रॉन्ग इनफ है?
जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। जी बिल्कुल, हमारी टीम जैसे परफॉर्म कर रही है, जैसे T20 में परफॉर्म किया है, आफ्टर दैट इन्होंने जैसे कल जो मैच हुआ है 2 डे अगो, बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया है। वी एक्सपेक्टिंग अ लॉट फ्रॉम देम, सो यस आवर टीम इज़ रियली गुड इन वन डे एज वेल।
नसीम शाह के बारे में बात करते हैं। उन्होंने ऑब्वियसली बहुत ब्रिलियंट बॉलिंग कराई पिछले मैच में, पहले भी करा चुके हैं। वी नो व्हाट टू एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम हिम। तो उनकी बॉलिंग के बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
First of all, he's my favorite bowler, so I'm really happy from last match. So I'm expecting a lot from him. So if he get a chance in a World Cup, he will perform really well.
मुझे बताएं कि आपके पिछले मैच में से सबसे फेवरेट परफॉर्मर कौन था?
बॉलिंग में अगर मैं कहूँ तो नसीम शाह, और फ़खर जमान ने भी एक अच्छी बैटिंग, ज़बरदस्त बैटिंग की है फ़खर जमान ने।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने हमें अपना टाइम दिया और अपनी राय दी। And as we can see that Pakistan was victorious in that first one-day international, but let's see if they can continue that brilliant form ahead, or will it be New Zealand that's going to come out with a new effective strategy to try and get that first win in this series? Stay tuned to find out.
All right, you heard it from Mehak. The fans are very excited about this one. But just in terms of New Zealand, what they can do differently from the last one-day international, batting-wise, they were short of runs. Tom Latham, you know, at the top, plays rather cautiously. I mean, is that just him playing his natural game? Does he need to change his game? You know, does he need to change the approach in the power play?
I think he's a little bit out of nick, really. I think he's just out of a bit of form. And given the start that New Zealand had, they really could have thought about perhaps, you know, dropping him down the order and bringing one of the guys who might come in and swing the willow a little bit more at that point. I mean, they weren't to know perhaps to the extent to which the pitch would slow down in the last 10 overs, the extent to which Daryl Mitchell, even on 100, couldn't find the boundary. However, I think, you know, the way that 50-over cricket has evolved, there is no period now really where teams are supposed to take their foot off the gas and knock the ball around. They could have kept going harder, and if they found themselves not being able to strike it at the back end, they still might have made 300 to 310. The problem was they slowed right down and then were unable to get started again as it got more difficult. So tactically, that's the way I would go. You have to try and keep your foot down. You have to try and make as many runs as you can in the first 35 to 40, and whatever happens at the back end is a bonus.
Pakistan, you know, you look at areas of improvement, and one thing that really sort of stood out was the fielding. Quick thoughts?
Absolutely, because of the heat also, they fielded in this heat. I do think that is something that they can improve. Otherwise, overall, they were really good in all other two departments.
All right, thank you so much, Sana and Butch, both of you. You heard it from Sana that they need to improve their fielding. New Zealand needs to go hard in the beginning overs. It's going to be a cracker of a match. We'll take a short break and we'll be back just in a bit, so don't go anywhere.